My narcissist ex posted revenge porn of me on Lesbian Reddit after I left her, so I got her arrested. My name is Elena, and I'm sitting in my car outside a police station at 9 in the morning on a Tuesday, holding my phone with shaking hands. The screenshot on my screen shows a message sent to my girlfriend Amber at 2:47 a.m. last night. The profile picture is different. The username is different, but I know exactly who sent it. I grab my coffee from the cup holder and take a long drink even though it's cold now. I've been sitting here for 20 minutes trying to decide if I'm being paranoid or if this is really happening again. The message to Amber says, "Hey, I think we have mutual friends. Want to grab coffee sometime?" Innocent enough, right? Except the profile is brand new. Created 3 days ago. And when I reverse image search the profile picture, it came up blank. Stock photo probably. The kind of thing someone uses when they're pretending to be someone they're not. I know I should go inside, file a report, show them the evidence. But part of me is terrified they won't believe me. That they'll think I'm obsessed or paranoid or making connections that aren't there. But I'm not crazy. I know it's her. I know it's Victoria. Let me back up. 3 years ago, I was in the worst relationship of my life. Victoria seemed perfect at first. We met at a Pride event in Austin. She was charming and attentive and made me feel like I was the most important person in the world. We moved in together after 4 months. Red flag number 1, but I was 26 and stupid and in love. The thing about narcissists is they don't start out showing you who they really are. Victoria spent the first 6 months love bombing me. Gifts, constant attention, talking about our future together. Then slowly, so slowly I barely noticed, things started to change. She started checking my phone, asked me to share my location with her at all times, got upset if I went anywhere without telling her first, made comments about my friends, my family, my coworkers, little cutting remarks that made me feel small. I started pulling away from everyone in my life, not because she explicitly told me to, but because it was easier than dealing with her mood swings when I tried to maintain relationships outside of us. The breaking point came 14 months into our relationship. I was at work, and my mom called to tell me my grandmother had passed away. I left work early, crying, and drove straight home. I needed comfort. I needed my girlfriend to hold me and tell me everything would be okay. Instead, Victoria accused me of lying about where I'd been. She'd checked my location and saw I'd left work early. She demanded to know who I was really with. She screamed at me for 2 hours while I sobbed and tried to explain that my grandmother had died. She never once asked if I was okay. That night, I realized I needed to leave. But leaving Victoria wasn't simple. I'd given up my apartment when we moved in together. All my stuff was in her place. Most of my friends had drifted away because Victoria always found reasons I couldn't hang out with them. I called my friend Jessica, someone I'd known since college. We hadn't talked much in months, but she answered on the first ring. When I told her what was happening, she drove over immediately and helped me pack while Victoria was at work. I left a note. I blocked Victoria's number. I thought that would be the end of it. I was so wrong. The first week after I left, Victoria sent me 127 messages from different phone numbers, email accounts I didn't know she had, social media accounts with fake names, all variations of the same theme. I was making a mistake. She loved me. We belonged together. I was throwing away the best thing that ever happened to me. Then the tone shifted. When I didn't respond, the messages got angry, accusatory. She told me I was a terrible person, that I'd never find anyone who loved me like she did, that I would regret this for the rest of my life. I documented everything, saved every message, every voicemail, every email. I filed for a restraining order and got one. That's when she posted the photos. I'm not going to describe them in detail. Let's just say they were intimate photos I trusted her with during our relationship. Photos that were meant to be private between two people who loved each other. She posted them on multiple forums and community pages. She included my full name, my workplace, my social media handles. The caption was a long rant about how I was a terrible person who had destroyed her life. I found out because a former coworker messaged me on Instagram asking if I knew the photos were circulating. My stomach dropped. I felt like I was going to throw up. Someone I trusted completely had weaponized my vulnerability against me. The next 48 hours were a blur. I reported the post to every platform. Most of them came down within hours, but the damage was done. People had screenshot them, shared them, commented on them. My private life was public, and there was nothing I could do to take it back. Jessica helped me contact a lawyer. We filed a police report. In Texas, posting intimate images without consent is a crime. A serious one, but I wasn't sure anything would actually come of it. The detective assigned to my case was a woman named Officer Chen. She was in her 40s with kind eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. She took my statement, looked at all the evidence I'd compiled, and told me she'd do everything she could to help. 2 weeks later, Victoria was arrested. The trial took 8 months. 8 months of reliving the worst moments of my life in front of strangers. 8 months of Victoria's lawyer trying to paint me as vindictive, as someone who was just trying to hurt her ex. But the evidence was overwhelming. The prosecution had the posts, the timestamps, proof that Victoria had created the accounts used to share the images. They had the threatening messages she'd sent before and after posting the photos. The jury found her guilty. The judge sentenced her to 6 months in county jail plus 3 years probation. She was also required to register as a sex offender and complete counseling. I remember sitting in that courtroom when the sentence was read. I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty, exhausted. All I wanted was for it to be over, to move on with my life. And for a while I did. I went to therapy. A lot of therapy. I worked through the trauma of the relationship and the violation of having my privacy destroyed. I reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with. I focused on my career and my hobbies and rebuilding myself. About a year after the trial, I met Amber. Amber was everything Victoria wasn't. Patient, kind, respectful of my boundaries. She knew about my past because I was honest with her from the beginning. I told her about Victoria, about the revenge porn, about how hard it had been to trust again. Amber never made me feel broken or damaged. She was just there, steady and supportive, while I continued healing. We've been together for 2 years now. We moved in together 6 months ago. I thought I'd finally move past what Victoria did to me. I thought I was safe. Then 3 days ago, Amber showed me a friend request on Instagram. A profile with barely any information. Generic bio. One profile picture of a woman with long dark hair and sunglasses. No posts yet. The username was something random, like a keyboard smash with some numbers. The kind of username people use when they're creating a burner account. Amber thought it was spam and ignored it, but something about it bothered me. Call it intuition or paranoia or PTSD, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I did some digging. The account had been created 3 days earlier? It was following 27 people, and 23 of them were people I knew. My friends, my coworkers, my family members, and Amber. I checked Victoria's last known social media accounts. All of them were deactivated or deleted. Her probation had ended 4 months ago. I had no idea where she was or what she was doing, and honestly, I'd been grateful for that distance, but now I was starting to wonder if that distance was real or if she'd just gotten better at hiding. I told Amber my concerns. She immediately blocked the account and made her profile private, but that night at 2:47 a.m., Amber woke me up. She showed me her phone. A message from a different account, similar username, no profile picture this time. Hey, I think we have mutual friends. Want to grab coffee sometime? My blood ran cold. Amber asked me what we should do. I told her we should ignore it, block it, not engage. But even as I said it, I knew Victoria wouldn't stop there. She never stopped. She just adapted. The next morning, I started going through Amber's followers list. I found 3 more suspicious accounts, all created in the past week, all following mostly people connected to me. That's when I knew for sure. Victoria was back, and she was building new identities to get around the blocks, the restraining order, the court mandate to stay away from me, which brings me to now. Sitting in my car outside the police station, trying to convince myself to go inside. I finally open the car door. The heat hits me immediately. It's already 85 degrees, and it's not even 10 in the morning. Texas in summer is brutal. Inside the station, I asked to speak to someone about a restraining order violation. The officer at the desk is young, maybe early 20s, and he looks bored until I explain that my ex violated the order by contacting my girlfriend through fake social media accounts. He tells me to have a seat and someone will be with me shortly. 30 minutes later, I'm sitting in a small interview room across from Officer Chen. She remembers me. I can see it in her face before I even finish explaining why I'm here. Elena, she says, and her voice is warm. I wondered if we'd see each other again. I show her everything. The screenshots of the accounts, the list of followers they all have in common, the timeline of when they were created, the message to Amber. Officer Chen listens carefully, taking notes. When I'm done, she sits back in her chair and sighs. The problem, she says, is that we need proof these accounts belong to Victoria. Unless she's using her real information or we can trace the IP address back to her, it's hard to prosecute. But look at the pattern, I say, hearing the desperation in my own voice. All these accounts created at the same time, all following the same people, all trying to reach my girlfriend. Who else would do that? You're probably right, Officer Chen says, and I believe you. But believing you and having evidence that will hold up in court are 2 different things. She tells me she'll look into it. She'll contact Victoria's probation officer to see if there's been any concerning behavior. She'll document everything I've shown her, but she's honest with me about the limitations of what she can do. I leave the station feeling defeated. I sit in my car and call Jessica. She answers immediately like she always does. She's back, I tell her. Victoria's back. Jessica is quiet for a moment. Then she says, okay, what do we know? This is why I love Jessica. No drama, no panic, just straight into problem-solving mode. I tell her everything. The accounts, the followers, the message to Amber. When I'm done, Jessica says something I'm not expecting. I think we need to set a trap. What do you mean? I mean, if Victoria is going to keep creating new accounts and trying to find ways to contact you or Amber, maybe we need to let her, in a controlled way, so we can get the proof Officer Chen needs. I don't like this idea. The thought of engaging with Victoria in any way makes my skin crawl. But Jessica has a point. If we just keep blocking accounts, Victoria will keep making new ones. We need to catch her in the act. How would we even do that? I ask. Let me think about it, Jessica says. In the meantime, don't block any new accounts that pop up. Just screenshot everything and don't respond. We need to build a pattern. I agree. Even though every instinct I have is screaming at me to block and delete and pretend none of this is happening. Over the next 2 days, 5 more accounts appear in Amber's follow requests. We don't accept them, but we don't block them either. Each account has the same characteristics. New, minimal information, following mostly people connected to me. One of the accounts sends Amber another message. I saw you at the coffee shop on 6th Street yesterday. You looked really pretty. Amber wasn't at any coffee shop on 6th Street yesterday. She was at home with me, watching movies on the couch. This message is different from the others. It's more personal, more invasive, and it's factually wrong, which means Victoria is either guessing about Amber's routines or watching from somewhere and getting her information mixed up, or she's trying to scare us. It's working. Jessica comes over that night. We sit at my kitchen table with our laptops and start doing research. If Victoria is creating all these accounts, she's doing it from somewhere. An IP address, a location, a device. We need to bait her into doing something that will give her away, Jessica says. Something that proves it's her and not just some random stalker. How? I ask. Amber, who's been quiet up until now, speaks up. What if I respond to one of the messages? What if I try to get her to meet up? Absolutely not, I say immediately. That's too dangerous. Not alone, Amber clarifies. What if we pick a public place and I agree to meet and we record everything? If she shows up, we have proof it's her. If she doesn't show up but keeps messaging, we can track her IP or something. I look at Jessica. She's considering it. It could work, Jessica says slowly, but we'd need to be smart about it. Set it up somewhere with security cameras. Make sure Elena and I are there but hidden. And we'd need to tell Officer Chen first so she knows what we're doing. I hate everything about this plan, but I also know that doing nothing means living in fear, always wondering when Victoria will escalate, always looking over my shoulder. We spend the next hour planning. Jessica suggests a coffee shop downtown that she knows has excellent security cameras. It's always busy, lots of witnesses. Amber would agree to meet there at a specific time. We'd tell Officer Chen what we're doing, and Jessica and I would be nearby but out of sight. The next morning, I call Officer Chen. She's not thrilled with our plan, but she understands the frustration. She agrees to have an officer in the area during the meeting time, just in case things go sideways. That afternoon, Amber responds to one of the messages. She keeps it casual and friendly. Hey, yeah, I'd love to grab coffee. How about Tuesday at 3 p.m. at the Central Blend on Congress? The response comes within minutes. Perfect! Can't wait to meet you. Something about how quickly the response comes makes my stomach turn. Like whoever is on the other end has been waiting for Amber to respond. Watching for it, Tuesday arrives. I barely sleep Monday night. I keep imagining worst case scenarios. Victoria showing up with a weapon. Victoria causing a scene. Victoria doing something to hurt Amber. Amber keeps reminding me she can back out, that we don't have to do this. But I can see in her eyes that she's tired of this too. Tired of looking over her shoulder. Tired of Victoria's shadow hanging over our relationship. At 2:30 p.m., we arrive at the coffee shop. Amber goes in and orders a drink. Jessica and I stay in Jessica's car parked across the street where we can see the entrance but aren't obvious. Officer. Chen texts me that she has an officer in plain clothes inside the coffee shop at a corner table. PM comes and goes. Amber sits at a table by the window, occasionally checking her phone. She looks calm, but I know her well enough to see the tension in her shoulders. 15 p.m. No one approaches Amber. No one who fits Victoria's description has entered the coffee shop. At 3:20 p.m., Amber's phone buzzes. She glances at it and then subtly angles it so the camera we've set up can see the screen. A message from the account. Sorry, running late. Be there in 10. Jessica and I exchange looks. Victoria is stalling. Or she's being cautious. Or maybe she already knows it's a trap. 10 minutes pass, then 20. At 3:45 p.m., another message. Something came up, have to reschedule, sorry. And then, before Amber can respond, the account is deleted. Just like that. Gone. We regroup at my apartment an hour later. Amber is frustrated. Jessica is thoughtful. I'm anxious and angry and scared all at once. She knew, I say. She somehow knew it was a setup. Or she got cold feet, Jessica suggests. Maybe she wanted to meet Amber but realized it was too risky. Or maybe she was there, Amber says quietly. We both look at her. Maybe she was outside the coffee shop, watching, and she saw you two in the car. The thought sends chills down my spine. The idea that Victoria was close enough to see us, to watch us, but stayed hidden. Officer Chen calls me that evening. She has news. Victoria's probation officer confirmed that Victoria moved back to Austin 2 months ago. She's been checking in regularly, hasn't violated any terms of her probation. But when the probation officer asked about her social media use, Victoria claimed she doesn't have any social media accounts. That's a lie, I say. She has to be the one making these accounts. I agree, Officer Chen says. But again, we need proof. I'm going to request her phone records and internet history from her probation officer. It might take a few days, but if she's creating these accounts, we'll find evidence. A few days feels like forever, but it's better than nothing. In the meantime, the accounts keep coming. One every day. All following the same people. All sending variations of the same innocent-seeming messages to Amber. Then one sends a message that makes my blood run cold. I know Elena thinks I'm her ex. Tell her she's right. Amber screenshots it immediately and sends it to me. I'm at work when I see it. I have to excuse myself to the bathroom because I feel like I'm going to be sick. She's taunting us now. She knows we know, and she doesn't care. I forward the screenshot to Officer Chen. She responds within minutes. That's it. That's our proof. I'm getting a warrant. Things move fast after that. Officer Chen gets a warrant for Victoria's devices and social media information. They execute it the next day. Victoria tries to claim she doesn't know what they're talking about, that someone must be impersonating her. But forensic analysis of her phone tells a different story. They find the apps she used to create the fake accounts, the photos she stole from stock photo websites to use as profile pictures, drafts of messages she'd written to Amber but never sent, and most damning of all, search history showing her looking up Amber's workplace, her schedule, places she frequents. Victoria was arrested again, this time for violating the restraining order and stalking. I thought I'd feel relief when Officer Chen called to tell me. Instead, I just felt tired. So unbelievably tired. The new charges meant a new court date, a new trial, more months of my life consumed by Victoria's inability to let go. But something happened this time that I wasn't expecting. Victoria's lawyer reached out to my lawyer with a plea deal. Victoria would plead guilty to all charges in exchange for a reduced sentence. But there was a condition. She wanted to speak to me, in person, with lawyers present. My immediate answer was no. Absolutely not. I never wanted to see Victoria again for as long as I lived. But my lawyer explained that part of the deal was Victoria agreeing to a permanent restraining order, one that would never expire. And she'd also agree to move out of Texas entirely after serving her sentence. Why does she want to talk to me? I asked my lawyer. She says she needs closure, he said, that she needs to apologize face to face. I didn't believe for a second that Victoria wanted to apologize. Narcissists don't apologize. They manipulate and justify and blame everyone but themselves. But the idea of her leaving Texas permanently was tempting, and the permanent restraining order would give me legal protection for the rest of my life. I talked to Amber. I talked to Jessica. I talked to my therapist. Everyone said the same thing. It was my choice and they'd support me either way. In the end, I agreed. Not because I wanted closure. Not because I wanted to hear what Victoria had to say, but because I wanted to look her in the eye and let her see that she hadn't broken me. The meeting was scheduled for a Thursday afternoon at the courthouse. My lawyer would be there. Her lawyer would be there. A court officer would be present. It would take place in a small conference room with security right outside. I was terrified walking into that building. Amber offered to come with me, but I told her no. This was something I needed to do alone. Victoria looked different. Smaller somehow. Her hair was shorter. She'd lost weight. When I walked into the room, she looked up at me and for a split second, I saw something in her eyes that might have been remorse, but then she spoke, and I realized I'd been wrong. I'm glad you came, she said. I've been wanting to talk to you for so long. I didn't respond. I just sat down across from her, my lawyer beside me, and waited. Victoria launched into a monologue about how much she'd suffered, how hard it had been for her when I left, how the arrest and jail time had ruined her life, how she'd just wanted me to understand how much pain I'd caused her. I listened without interrupting. I watched her twist the narrative to make herself the victim, to make me the villain in a story where I'd done nothing wrong except try to escape an abusive relationship. When she finally paused, waiting for me to respond, I took a breath and said the only thing I'd planned to say. I'm here because I want you out of my life permanently. I'm here because I want the legal protection that keeps you away from me forever. I'm not here to give you closure or forgiveness or understanding. What you did to me was cruel and illegal, and you're facing the consequences of your own actions. Victoria's face shifted. The mask of remorse fell away, and I saw the anger underneath. You're really going to sit there and act like you're innocent? She said. You destroyed me, Elena. You made me fall in love with you and then you just left. No explanation. No chance to fix things. You just ran away and then had me arrested when I tried to make you understand. You posted intimate photos of me online without my consent. I interrupted. You violated my privacy and tried to destroy my reputation. Because you were angry, I left a relationship where you controlled and isolated me. That's not love. That's abuse. Victoria's lawyer put a hand on her arm trying to calm her down. My lawyer remained silent, taking notes. I loved you, Victoria said, and her voice cracked. I loved you more than I've ever loved anyone, and you threw it away like it meant nothing. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Because I could hear the pain in her voice, see it in her eyes. But I also knew that that pain didn't excuse what she'd done, that loving someone doesn't give you the right to hurt them when they leave. I hope you get help, I said finally. I hope you learn how to have healthy relationships. But that's not my responsibility anymore. I'm done. I stood up. My lawyer started gathering his papers. Victoria's lawyer was already pulling out the plea agreement for her to sign. Wait, Victoria said. Her voice was different now, quieter. There's something else I need to tell you. I paused, halfway to the door. The photos, she continued. I made sure they were all deleted. Every single one. I contacted every platform, every forum, everyone who might have saved them. I spent months tracking them down and getting them removed. I know it doesn't undo what I did, but I wanted you to know they're gone. I turned to look at her. She was crying now, real tears streaming down her face. And the accounts, she said. The ones I used to message Amber. I was never going to hurt her. I just wanted to see if you were happy. If you'd moved on. I wanted to know if you were better off without me. I didn't know what to say to that. Part of me wanted to believe her. To believe that somewhere in Victoria was a person capable of real remorse and change. But another part of me knew that actions spoke louder than words. And her actions had been stalking and harassment, no matter what her intentions were. I hope that's true, I said. For your sake and mine. And then I left. The plea deal was finalized the next week. Victoria pleaded guilty. She was sentenced to 18 months in county jail, followed by mandatory counseling and a permanent move out of Texas. The restraining order became permanent. That was 6 months ago. I haven't heard from Victoria since. No new accounts, no messages, no sightings. Officer Chen checks in with me every few weeks to make sure everything is still quiet. Amber and I are good. Better than good, actually. We got a dog, a golden retriever puppy we named Luna. We're talking about buying a house together. Life has slowly returned to normal, or at least a new version of normal. But sometimes, late at night when I can't sleep, I think about that last conversation with Victoria, about the pain in her voice when she said she loved me, about whether she really did have all those photos removed, or if she just said that to manipulate me one last time. I think about how loving someone and hurting someone can exist in the same person, in the same relationship. How Victoria probably did love me, in whatever way she was capable of loving, but how that love was toxic and possessive and ultimately destructive to both of us. I don't know where Victoria is now. I don't know if she got help or if she's out there somewhere repeating the same patterns with someone new. What I do know is that I survived. I survived the relationship, the revenge porn, the stalking, all of it. I survived and I built a new life, a better life, a life where I'm not constantly afraid or looking over my shoulder, a life where I'm loved in a healthy way by someone who respects my boundaries and my autonomy. Last week, Jessica and I went out for drinks to celebrate her new job. We were laughing about something silly when she got serious for a moment and said, "I'm proud of you, for everything you went through and how you handled it." I told her I couldn't have done it without her, without Amber, without Officer Chen and my therapist, and everyone who supported me through the worst time of my life. But the truth is, I also did it for myself. I chose to leave Victoria. I chose to press charges. I chose to fight back instead of letting her win. And those choices, those moments of courage even when I was terrified, made all the difference. 3 days ago, I got a letter in the mail. No return address, postmarked from Nevada. Inside was a single handwritten note. "I'm sorry for everything. I'm getting help. I hope you're happy." I showed it to Amber. She asked if I was going to respond. I said no, because the thing is, Victoria doesn't get to have the last word in this story. She doesn't get to decide when we're done or what closure looks like. I'm done when I say I'm done. And I said I was done 6 months ago in that courthouse conference room. So I took the letter and I put it in the box where I keep all the evidence from Victoria's case, the screenshots, the court documents, the restraining orders. I might need it someday if she violates the agreement and comes back, or I might never look at it again. Either way, it doesn't define me anymore. What happened with Victoria is part of my story, but it's not the whole story. It's not even the most important part. The most important part is what came after. The healing, the growth, the love I found with Amber, the friendships I rebuilt, the person I became because of everything I survived. Sometimes people ask me if I regret dating Victoria, if I wish I'd never met her. And honestly, I don't know how to answer that question, because yes, she hurt me in ways I'm still healing from, but that relationship also taught me what I don't want, what I won't accept, what I deserve. It taught me how to recognize red flags, how to trust my instincts, how to stand up for myself even when it's terrifying. So no, I don't think I regret it. I just regret that it took me so long to leave, that I stayed through so many warning signs because I thought love was supposed to be hard, was supposed to require sacrifice and compromise and putting someone else's needs above my own. Now I know better. Love should be easy in the ways that matter. It should make you feel safe and valued and free to be yourself. It should build you up, not tear you down. And with Amber, it is all those things. Last night, we were lying in bed with Luna sprawled across both of us, watching some stupid reality show on TV. Amber turned to me during a commercial and said, "I love you. You know that." I said I did. "No, but like, I really love you," she continued. "And I'm so glad you chose to trust me. I know it wasn't easy after everything you went through." I kissed her and told her that loving her was the easiest thing I'd ever done. And I meant it. Because after surviving Victoria, after fighting my way through the darkness of that relationship and its aftermath, I finally found someone who showed me what love is actually supposed to look like. Someone who respects my boundaries instead of pushing them. Who supports my independence instead of trying to control me. Who makes me feel stronger, not smaller. That's the ending I choose for this story. Not the trauma or the revenge porn or the arrests or any of it. The ending I choose is this. Me and Amber and Luna, building a life together that's full of trust and respect and genuine love. Victoria's chapter is closed, and I'm never looking back. Well, almost never. Because yesterday, Officer Chen called me. She said Victoria's probation officer in Nevada reached out. Apparently, Victoria has been doing well, attending therapy twice a week, working a steady job, staying out of trouble. The probation officer asked if I'd be willing to participate in a restorative justice program, where Victoria and I would meet with a mediator, and Victoria could offer a formal apology, and I could express how her actions impacted me. It's supposed to help both the victim and the offender find closure and move forward. I told Officer Chen I'd think about it. Amber thinks I shouldn't do it, that I don't owe Victoria anything, not even the opportunity for redemption. Jessica thinks it might be good for me to have that final conversation in a controlled setting where I can say everything I never got to say. I'm still deciding. Part of me wants to do it, to look Victoria in the eye one more time and tell her exactly how much damage she did, how many nights I spent crying, how long it took me to feel safe again, how her actions rippled through every aspect of my life for years. But another part of me thinks that participating would just be giving her more power over my story, that the best revenge is moving on completely and living well, and that engaging with her in any way, even in a therapeutic setting, is letting her back into my life. I have 2 weeks to decide. In the meantime, Amber and I are looking at houses. We found one we really love in a neighborhood with good schools, which feels funny since we don't have kids and aren't planning on it, but apparently that's what you're supposed to look for when buying real estate. It has a big backyard for Luna and a home office where I can work remotely. There's a coffee shop 2 blocks away and a park right around the corner. It feels safe, normal, like the kind of place where nothing bad could happen. I know that's probably naive. Bad things can happen anywhere, but standing in that empty house with Amber, imagining our furniture and our life filling those rooms, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Not just hope that things would be okay, but certainty that they already were. That I'd made it through the worst of it and come out the other side intact. Maybe a little scarred. Definitely more cautious, but also stronger, braver, more sure of who I am and what I want. So maybe I will do the restorative justice thing. Not for Victoria, but for me. To close that chapter once and for all. To say my piece and let it go. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just sign the papers on this house and move forward with my life and never think about Victoria again. Either way, I get to choose. And that's the power Victoria tried to take from me but never could. The power to decide my own story, my own future, my own happiness. She doesn't get to write the ending. I do, and my ending, it's pretty damn good.